Anthony Grasso here, bringing you financial news you can use. In this video, I'm going to go over where the student loan forgiveness stands at the end of 2020, where we're at right now. We're in the middle of December 2020, and what it might look like going into 2021. I'm going to go over the three possibilities of what limitations on student debt cancellation may look like. And at the end of the video, I will tie in the current stimulus negotiations right now and what that means for you. All right, let's get right into it. And before that, just if you like this video, smash that like button down below and consider subscribing if you want loan forgiveness, student loan forgiveness updates and market news that you can use. Okay, so currently President-elect Biden's plan, he was supportive of a broad loan forgiveness and actively spoke his desires to eliminate some student debt during the presidential campaign. Now, he was specifically called on Congress to pass student loan relief. Now, progressive lawmakers and advocacy organizations want Biden to use executive authority to bypass Congress, but he has not expressed any formal public opinion about whether he would support such a major policy change without congressional involvement, or if he views it as a valid use of executive action. So that remains to be seen going into when he becomes president in 2021. Now, while some form of sweeping student loan relief is certainly possible, it is far from guaranteed. If there is major relief or reform, student loan debt doesn't look like it would be universally canceled for everybody as it stands today at the end of 2020. Neither Biden nor a majority of lawmakers in either party, the Republicans or the Democrats in Congress, have expressed support for universal student loan cancellation. Now, let's say that student debt is canceled or forgiven as a matter of policy. My thoughts are there would be some sort of limit, cap, restriction, or other eligibility criteria. As of December 2020, there's currently no information on who may qualify and what a student loan relief program may look like because a formal plan has not been released and there's been no legislation in Congress to actually formally say student loan forgiveness is now on the floor. Now, even though there's a lack of information, I'm going to go over three possibilities of what limitations on student loan debt cancellation may look like. Okay, let's get right into it. Number one, limits on student loan cancellation based upon the amount of debt. So if student loan forgiveness legislation is enacted, there would be probably caps on the amount that would be canceled. Now, on one hand, you have House Democrats that passed legislation in May, which was the HEROES Act that wasn't passed by the Senate, calling for about $10,000 in student loan forgiveness per borrower. Now, Biden has publicly expressed support for the $10,000 figure as well. So what would $10,000 cancellation look like? Because you heard the number, but what would it look like? Okay, but canceling $10,000 in student loans would eliminate all student loan debt for about estimated 16.3 million borrowers, or about 36% of all borrowers, and reduce by 50% the loan balances for another 9.3 million, representing an additional 20% of all borrowers. So basically what this means is over half of all the outstanding student loan borrowers could see a significant relief with just $10,000 in student loan debt cancellation. Now, some have been calling for Biden to go further, however, and I spoke in the previous video that Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer joined with Senator Elizabeth Warren and other Democrat lawmakers in calling on Biden to cancel $50,000 in federal student loan debt for borrowers. As of right now, though, Biden has not expressed a public position on this higher $50,000 amount. Now, the second thing is the possibility that might change is limits on student loan cancellation based on income. So in addition to caps on the amount that we're going to see canceled, I see a possibility of further limits on student loan forgiveness based on income. So economics, policymakers, and even some consumer advocates argue that there must be income limits on student loan forgiveness to ensure that benefits of cancellation skew towards lower income borrowers rather than higher income earners who are more likely to be in the position to repay their loans. This is a very controversial topic. So what they argue is that if you took out lots of student loans and became successful, you would be required to pay it back, but those who cannot afford to pay it back will have a reprieve. To me, this topic is very controversial, and I want your opinion on the matter, on that statement specifically. So please leave a comment down below on whether or not you agree with income taps on loan for loan forgiveness. All right. When Senator Elizabeth Warren was touting her own student loan forgiveness plan, she was campaigning, arguing for limiting relief to borrowers earning under $250,000 per year. So that's a pretty high bar. So anybody under $250,000 would be required, wouldn't not be required to pay it back, and it would be forgiven. So her plan was to provide $50,000 in student loan forgiveness for borrowers earning up to $100,000 per year, and then gradually phase out the benefit for borrowers earning $100,000 to $250,000. There would be no relief at all for borrowers who exceed the $250,000 income threshold. Biden has previously argued for an annual income limit of $125,000 when he was pushing for his own student loan forgiveness plan when he was campaigning on the trail. And Senator Chuck Schumer recently suggested that this income limit should also apply if Biden were to cancel student loan debt through executive action. Although Biden, again, he has not commented on that either. The third possibility of what limitations on student debt cancellation may look like is limits on student loan based cancellation based on loan type. So that's the third one. Student loan cancellation will probably be restricted based on the borrower's specific type of student loans. Case in point, many recent student loan relief programs have been restricted to only certain categories of student debt. Here's an example. The current moratorium on student loan payments, interest, collections under the CARES Act limits relief to government-held federal student loans. This would include direct loans and a small number of other types of federal loans that were required by or assigned to the U.S. Department of Education. Other types of student loans, on the other hand, such as commercially issued FFEL-program federal loans, federal Perkins loans issued by colleges and universities, and private student loans right now are excluded from those repayment programs. There could be a similar restrictions for a broad student loan forgiveness measure. This specific all depends on whether Congress passes loan forgiveness legislation or whether Biden enacts student debt cancellation via executive action. So Biden's executive authority as president would likely be limited only to federal loans that the government administers directly, meaning he probably would not have the ability to enact forgiveness of FFEL-program federal loans held by commercial entities, federal Perkins loans, or private student loans. But that's not to say that Congress could pass legislation that could broaden relief measures to include even these types of student loans, even private student loans. But that would be undoubtedly increase the cost of the program. Now let's tie this all back into the broader stimulus talks that are currently going on now. So right now, they plan to extend the moratorium on student loan payments till April of 2021. That legislation is currently being argued with right now in Congress as of December 16, 2020. But most likely, you probably won't have to pay on your student loans until April of 2021. So I want to thank you for watching this video, and like this video, smash that like button down below if you like this content, and subscribe if you want your student loan forgiveness updates and financial updates, bringing you financial news you can use. And click the bobblehead right in the middle below and smash that button. We'll see you in the next video. Ciao.